Hi guys, Drew here, and this is going to be my first ever YouTube video as Drew Nye the Hockey Guy. This channel will mostly be based on hockey news and what's going around on the league. My favorite team is the Montreal Canadiens, if you guys want to know. So yeah, let's get started. My first video will be talking about my favorite player from every team, just to let you know what I'm a little bit about. So let's get started. The first team that we're gonna do is the Anaheim Ducks. I think my favorite player from the Anaheim Ducks is probably Rickard Rakell. I like Rickard Rakell because of his style and play. He will be, I think he's an upcoming unrestricted free agent. So maybe a team will pick him up maybe someday or during free agency. And he wears number 67 for the Anaheim Ducks, and he's one of their most produceful players. The next team will be the Arizona Coyotes. Not good season from the Arizona Coyotes, but I think my favorite team from the Arizona Coyotes is probably Clayton Keller. I like Clayton Keller. He's a nice centerman for the Arizona Coyotes. I believe he's a centerman. He wears number 9 for the Arizona Coyotes. He might be a future captain one day since Oliver Ekman-Larsson is traded. So maybe someday he can be a captain because Phil Kessel will probably not be on the team next season. The next team will be the Boston Bruins. As a Montreal fan, I don't like the Bruins much, but I will have to choose a player for the Boston Bruins. My favorite player from the Boston Bruins is probably, it's not one of the big three. It's not, actually, I'm probably going to go with Patrice Bergeron. I like Patrice Bergeron. It's kind of a tongue twister there. Patrice Bergeron is, I believe he's a centerman. And he wears number 37, and he's also wearing the C on the Bruins. So maybe he can go in the Hall of Fame one day. He's a really productive player for the Bruins. He's a very good two-way player. The next team will be the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo's not that good of a team. They're doing pretty good in this 2021-22 season. But my favorite player from the Buffalo Sabres is probably Dylan Cousins. The reason why I like Dylan Cousins because he plays really good in the World Juniors. He's having a really good season right now for Buffalo. He was rookie last year. Never got many Calder votes, I don't think. But he's shown Sabres that he can do some stuff too. So the next team I'm going to do will be the Calgary Flames. My favorite player from the Calgary Flames is probably Johnny Gaudreau. He's going to be an upcoming free agent this season, so maybe he'll go somewhere. Maybe he'll resign in Calgary. Maybe we'll trade him at the trade deadline. He is an assistant captain. If they re-sign Gaudreau, I think that they should make him captain as they lost Mark Giordano in the expansion draft. Johnny Gaudreau is a productive player. He's one of the best players on the Calgary Flames. And yeah, that's why I like Johnny Gaudreau. The next team will be the Carolina Hurricanes. My favorite player from the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina, there's a lot of good players on their team. But my favorite player from the Carolina Hurricanes is probably Sebastian Aho. He was a second-round pick by the Carolina Hurricanes in the 2015 draft. Montreal offer sheeted him actually once for a massive contract. I don't know. I don't know exactly how much money it was, but I know that Carolina matched the offer. So just imagine if Sebastian Aho could be on Montreal today. That would be pretty good for Montreal and their organization. But Sebastian Aho is probably Carolina's best player or possibly forward. He's a great centerman or two-way forward. I forget what position he plays. But yeah, he's a really good player for Carolina. The next team is going to be the Chicago Blackhawks. It's not Patty Kane. It's Jonathan Toews. I like Jonathan Toews because he's first of all, he's the captain of Blackhawks, so he does a lot of leadership on that team, and so does Kane too. So Toews is one of the, I think he's the second or first. I'm not sure. But Tays is one of the second or first longest captains. First is Sidney Crosby. We'll get to him later. The next team is going to be the Colorado Avalanche. There's actually a lot of players I like on the Avalanche, but probably my favorite player on the Colorado Avalanche is probably Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon is like probably the second best player in the league. We'll get to the first later. But McKinnon was a first overall pick. I believe it was 2013. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But Nathan MacKinnon wears 29 on the Avalanche. I think he's the centerman. Not 100%. He might be right wing or left wing because there's that first line, McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. Just like the Bruins. Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron. Imagine what the Bruins are going to be like once Bergeron and Marchand both retire, because they're in their twilight years, even though they're probably in their prime too right now. They've been in their prime for a long time. Moving on, we're going to go with the Columbus Blue Jackets. My favorite player from the Columbus Blue Jackets. I probably like Zach Werenski. Zach Werenski was a first-round pick in 2015 by the Columbus Blue Jackets. Honestly, he's a really productive player during this offseason. Nick Foligno got traded at the last year's trade deadline, and then he signed with the Boston Bruins in free agency. I honestly wish that he could have signed with Columbus, even though he fits in Columbus. But once he signed with Boston, out of all teams, what jersey can you picture Nick Foligno in? I could picture him in a Bruins jersey. He's a very physical player and stuff like that. But talking back to Zach Werenski, they named Boone Jenner this offseason. Zach Werenski, I thought that he could be captain because I find that he does a lot of leadership too. So he's the assistant captain for the Columbus Blue Jackets. The next team is going to be the Dallas Stars. Ooh. Most of the Dallas Stars players I find are, fringy, and then, they're good at the same time. They have a lot of chemistry, but the players are not that good. Even though I will choose Tyler Seguin. I like Tyler Seguin's style of play. He didn't play much for last season. He only played, 3 or 4 games, or maybe even a couple of games. But he's one of Dallas's best players on the team. Honestly, him and Jamie Benn, they're both of my favorite players. And probably even Rope Hintz. He's a really good player, too. Moving on, we're going to go with the Detroit Red Wings. My favorite player from the Detroit Red Wings is probably Dylan Larkin. That's one of the obvious answers. I like Dylan Larkin's style of play. I believe he was drafted in 2014. But Larkin's probably the heart and soul of the Red Wings. If you're, talking about the Red Wings and, their number one player, it's just Dylan Larkin. The rest of the players are meh. You could go with Bertuzzi or Suter or something like that. Or maybe even Nedeljkovic or Raymond or Seider. They're going to be a good player one day, trust me. But, yeah, I chose Larkin. He's by the way, he's also the captain. They actually wear it on their other side. I believe it's this one, or it could be that one. But the next team will be the Edmonton Oilers. My favorite player from the Edmonton Oilers. This was a tough one. I really like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and also a little bit of Zach Hyman, just because he's the least player. But my favorite player I chose was Connor McDavid, just because he's the best player in the NHL. Connor McDavid can just do anything he wants passing through the defenseman. It sounds like he teleports past the defenseman. He's that fast. But he can, honestly, I'd love to see Pavel Barber with Connor McDavid on a team. They would just dominate. But he also has Draisaitl as his backup line mate. But yeah. So the next team will be the Florida Panthers. There's actually a lot of players I like on the Florida Panthers, but I'm probably gonna go with Jonathan Huberdeau. I like Huberdeau. Has a great style of play. Huberdeau wears number 11. I believe he's a left wing. He used to play on the same line of Barkov, but Carter Verhaeghe came in. He's a runner-up for that honorable mention because he's a really good player for Florida, and I really like him. I didn't know him until he signed with Florida because when he played with Tampa, I didn't know much about him because he never got that much minutes on the ice. But moving on, we're going to go with the Los Angeles Kings. My favorite player from the Los Angeles Kings is going to be Phillip Danault, former Montreal Canadian. Phillip Danault is pretty productive. He's very good defensively, honestly. Phillip Danault is really good defensively. Trust me, he's one of the best defensive players that are a forward or centerman in the NHL. He's probably one of the best centermen too in the NHL for LA. But he signed with them during this offseason, so it's sad to see him go. Next team will be the Minnesota Wild. My favorite player from the Minnesota Wild. Ooh, there's a lot of good players on Minnesota that I like. But the obvious one, probably Kirill Kaprizov. Kirill Kaprizov was a 5th-round pick in the 2015 draft by the Minnesota Wild. He's a really productive player for the Minnesota Wild and their franchise. He's one of their pieces when they're moving into the future. And also, I love their jerseys. They're the best in the league by far, in my opinion. The next team is going to be the Montreal Canadiens. I got him on the back here. It's probably backwards, but it's Carey Price. Carey Price is the best goaltender in Montreal Canadiens, maybe top 3 history. You could do Patrick Roy, Jacques Plante, Ken Dryden, and Carey Price, like the top 4, and honorable mention the top 5 would probably be Jose Theodore. He was really good too. Yeah, I like Carey Price. He's probably the second best goaltender in the league at this time being. Like last playoffs, it was awesome because Price was playing against Andrei Vasilevsky. I have him right there too. But Andrei Vasilevsky is probably the best goaltender in the league, and that's going to be the first goaltender in this video that I mentioned. The next team is the Nashville Predators. My favorite player from the Nashville Predators is probably going to be Roman Josi. He's the captain for the Nashville Predators. He's a really productive player for Nashville, and he's probably the best player of all time born in Switzerland. He's probably the most had the most points. I believe he does, and second was Mark Streit, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. That might have been a mistake or something like that, but yeah, I chose Roman Josi. So the next team is going to be the New Jersey Devils. My favorite player from the New Jersey Devils, Dawson Mercer. He's a really productive player for the New Jersey Devils. He's a rookie this year, born in Newfoundland. If you don't know, that's where I live, is Newfoundland. I'm not going to say what city, just because you don't want to come to my address or something like that. That it would be weird, like a bunch of people just come into my house, so I'm not going to mention that. But Dawson Mercer is a Newfoundland player. He's a great player for the New Jersey Devils. I'm hoping he can win the Calder this year. And also, I forgot to mention, honorable mention for Colorado's Alex Newhook, another Newfoundland-born player too. The next team is the New York Islanders. My favorite player from the New York Islanders is probably Kyle Palmieri. He wears number 21 on the New York Islanders. He's a pretty productive player. He's not having that great season this year, though. He's not just signed with the Islanders in the offseason, but hopefully he can do better for the rest of the season by far. The next team will be the New York Rangers. There are actually a lot of players I like on the New York Rangers, but honestly, my favorite player from the New York Rangers is probably Alexis Lafreniere. He's a Canadian-born player. He's a really productive player for the New York Rangers. Not this season, though. In, 2 years' time, 1 year's time, maybe even 3 years' time, he's going to, hit, 50 points over, maybe. He's that good of a player. Well, he hit around 100 points when he played for Rimouski in his draft year. That's why he was first overall. The next team is going to be the Ottawa Senators. There is actually a lot of favorite players that I like on the Ottawa Senators. They're my second favorite team if you didn't know that. But my favorite player is probably Josh Norris. Josh Norris wears number 9 on Ottawa. He was traded in the Erik Karlsson trade. Yeah, Josh Norris is my favorite player on Ottawa. There's not much to say about him. He's just a great player. Probably the second best on Ottawa behind Brady Tkachuk. Or you can say Thomas Chabot. He's a really good player too. Next team is the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't like much from the Philadelphia Flyers. Actually, I just got a notification that they fired head coach Alain Van Gogh, or whatever his last name is, and assistant coach Michel Therrien. Let's not get too far about him. I'll give you a hint. Coach from Montreal. My favorite player from the Philadelphia Flyers is probably Claude Giroux. He's a really productive player from Philly. He wears number 28, and yeah, I believe he's 34, so he's in his twilight years of his career. Next team's Pittsburgh. My favorite player from the Pittsburgh Penguins is probably I like Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby, and maybe even Evan Rodriguez, but I'm going to go with Sidney Crosby just because he's a Nova Scotian-born player close to Newfoundland. Yeah, Crosby's probably the best player of all time born in Nova Scotia and possibly Canada. No, I forgot about Wayne Gretzky. Nobody's ever going to pass him except Ovechkin. Ovechkin probably might. I don't want him to be honest, but yeah, so I chose Sidney Crosby for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The next team's going to be the San Jose Sharks. My favorite player from the San Jose Sharks. I probably like Brent Burns. He's that hockey guy. He had the beard. He had the missing tooth. He's probably one of the best defensemen on San Jose. But yeah, so yeah, he was a forward actually once. When he started his career. Now he's a defenseman. He's probably not offensive defenseman. He's also in his twilight years. The next team will be the newest team, the Seattle Kraken. My favorite team from the Seattle Kraken. I'm probably going to go with Mark Giordano. I like Mark Giordano. He was the former captain of the Calgary Flames. He's a really productive player from the Seattle Kraken. Obviously, he's in his last couple of years, maybe even triple years. Like he's 37 or 38, or possibly 39. I don't know how old he is. But next team is going to be the St. Louis Blues. My favorite player from the St. Louis Blues. I like Braden Shen. He wears number 10. I don't like him because he played for the Leafs. That's the only reason why I don't like him. But he's a pretty productive player for St. Louis. Honorable mention, Robert Thomas. I really like him, too. Next team is going to be the Tampa Bay Lightning. My favorite player from the Tampa Bay Lightning. They bet Montreal in the finals a couple of seasons ago, but my favorite player from the Tampa Bay Lightning is probably I'm gonna go with Ondrej Palat. That's kind of an underrated one. He's an underrated player in the league. I'm gonna go check how old he is. Just 1 second. Okay, I found out how old he is. He's 30 years old. So I did not know that. I thought that he was possibly 28 or 29 or something like that. But I think he's undrafted, I believe, or he was a late draft pick. I believe he's a late draft pick, though, by the Lightning. The next team is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. If you don't know, guys, the Toronto Maple Leafs is my least favorite team. I don't have any of their jerseys. I only have one, because it doesn't even fit me anymore because I used it when I was a baby. But my favorite player from the Leafs, I have to choose one. Honestly, if I didn't have to choose one, I wouldn't say none. But my favorite player from the Toronto Maple Leafs, Jason Spezza. I like Jason Spezza. He's a great player for the Leafs. Honestly, wish he could come to Montreal. Yeah, I chose Jason Spezza. Not much to talk about him. He's just a great player. Next team is going to be the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, man. Vancouver does not have that great season. But the team I'm going to choose for the Vancouver Canucks is probably going to be Elise Pettersson. He's a young player for Vancouver, and he's going to be a big part of their future. Maybe someday he can win a Hart or something like that. He's already won a Calder. The next team is going to be the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a team that I actually follow a lot. I really like their stuff they do. My favorite player is probably Mark Stone. I like Mark Stone. He's a great two-way forward. I believe he won the Selkie. I do not know. I'm not 100% sure with that. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I chose Mark Stone. He's a great player for Vegas. Next team's going to the Washington Capitals. My favorite player from the Washington Capitals is Nick Backstrom. I like Nick Backstrom. He's an older player. I believe he's like 33 or 34 years old, or possibly even 35. He's in his twilight years. He has like maybe like a half decade left in him, probably. Honorable mention, Alex Ovechkin. Last team is the Winnipeg Jets. So I'm going to finish out the video talking about Nikolai Ehlers. My favorite player on the Winnipeg Jets is Nikolai Ehlers. Big honorable mention to Mark Scheifele. Like, Ehlers is like 100%. Scheifele's like a 99%. Like, I love both of those players, honestly. But Nikolai Ehlers is one of the only like Danish players in the National Hockey League. Him and Freddie Andersen's Danish, I believe, and Frans Nielsen, except he's not in the league this year. If you don't know what Danish is, it's people born in Denmark. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I finished all my favorite players. You guys can have any suggestions for any more videos that I can do. So yeah, that's the beginning of my channel. Hopefully, this channel can be a great one for you guys. I want to make the best content as possible. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, you can like the video. You can subscribe if you really liked it. You guys can follow me on TikTok as well. I do reviews of my Montreal games and possibly some news. That is called Drew_3111. So there's 3 1s in it. So yeah, you guys can follow me on that, and hopefully we can get some subscribers on this at least. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I'll talk to y'all again soon.